Hi, I'm Shea Monroe, head coach of the Ashville Bulldogs, and you're watching Average Joe's Sports Talk.
Here we are with Coach Shea Monroe. He's the head dog here at Ashville now. Congratulations on being named head coach and AD. Tell us what got you into coaching.
Just the people that impacted me. I mean, coaches impacted me. I wasn't a very good player, but I love the game. I love just being around the game. My dad and I would sit at our table on Saturday mornings, and we would talk about, the game we saw the previous Friday night. So we were just big football fans in my house. And I mean, you play youth league, you play pee wee ball, just a lot of good people, man. A lot of good coaches. Very fortunate to have been around some good ones.
Speaking of coaches, you were coached by Mickey Cone, the current safeties coach at Clemson. He was your high school coach at Grayson High School in Georgia, which is a powerhouse over there right now. What impact did he have on you as far as going into coaching?
Well, I think he was such a good example of what, a role model should be. Mm-hmm. He was just a really good person, first and foremost. Now, he was just that guy you didn't want to disappoint. He was the guy that you didn't want to let down because he put everything into you. Right. And I told the man, the myth, the legend, Kevin Moore the other day. Mickey's this Coach Con. I've never called him Mickey before. Coach Con is this master manipulator. Mm-hmm. You could be the worst player on the team, and he'd make you think you were the best. And he was just such a good role model for all of us.
Right. Okay. Cool. Kind of going back into your coaching career, your first coaching job was at Dublin High School in Georgia. Just tell us about your coaching career leading up to your current job here at Ashville.
Yeah, so I started at Dublin with Coach Holmes, Roger Holmes. Mm-hmm. Coach Holmes is probably the best football coach I've ever been around as far as, the guy can coach everything on the field and do it in his sleep, From there, my wife is from Alabama. That's how I ended up here. I actually went to Jacksonville State, but came to Alabama, was offensive coordinator at Lincoln for 3 years for Brad Wallace, and very grateful to Coach Wallace. He gave me my first opportunity to call plays, and I was 25 years old, and that first year was pretty rough, but luckily we were pretty good on defense. Next year we had a really really good year. We had a bunch of really good players. Moved up to 5A, won a region championship. Lost in the second round to Pleasant Grove. That was the year they played for it against St. Paul's. But it was Lincoln's such a good place. Lincoln's a really good place, really good community, really good kids, good players. From there, I took the head coaching job at Westbrook Christian. Was there a brief minute. Went back to Lincoln for the rest of the 2017 season, and then came to Asheville in 2018.
Okay. Cool. As I mentioned before, you played at Grayson. Grayson's one of the top programs in Georgia and probably in the nation. What was it like playing in such a successful program like Grayson and the pressure?
Well, it's actually funny because people look at Grayson now as this powerhouse. When I was at Grayson, we were just okay. Uh-huh. Really and truly, Grayson has changed a lot. Okay, so I was talking to one of my coaches not too long ago, and he makes this joke. He said when he got to Grayson, it was pickup trucks and country music. Well, it's not that anymore. Yeah. It's developed more. It's blown up. It's a suburb of Atlanta. It's blown up. My senior year, we had a good year. We were a second round team, lost to Norcross, and who was the number one team in the state. We lost to them in double overtime. Wow. And we ended up finishing the season at 6-6. Mm-hmm. But we just had a really good team. We had, it's nothing for teams in Metro Atlanta for teams to have 9 or 10 kids on a team that are going to play, Power 5 college football. Yeah. Okay. Well, on the team I graduated on, we had 2. So I'll give you an example. The second game my senior year, we're playing Peachtree Ridge, and the 3 technique is Cameron Hayward, who's playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And like, you want me to block down on that guy?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was pretty unreal. You know, their quarterback was a guy named Zach Graham who played basketball at Ole Miss. I mean, they were, and they actually, at the time in Georgia, you could tie for the state championship. They actually tied my senior year with Roswell. Yeah, tied in the state championship. Yeah, so, but look, Grayson was a really good experience because after that, they ended up going to the quarterfinals, went 10-3 the next year, and then just kept building it, and then won their first state championship in 2011. You know, that's when they had Robert Kimdichie, and you know, they had some Ryan Carter who played at Clemson. They had some dudes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about some dudes, but it was good, man. It was a really good experience.
Cool. Kind of getting off track here. You know, you're familiar with Georgia football and now Alabama football. Which state's the best football state?
Alabama is more passionate about their football. The thing I like about Alabama is every community has their school. And that's one of the things I like about Ashville is, you know, this is their school. They're very passionate about their school. I mean, you could go to Raglan. It's the same thing there. Ohatchee, you know, Etowah. I mean, you know, Glencoe, all those Gadsden. I mean, Gadsden, you know, they didn't really miss a beat when they combined three schools. It's okay. You know, you go to places like Clay Central, you know, where, you know, they take Lineville and Clay County, I mean, and you combine them. Now, that's a little bit harder to swallow. Yeah. But obviously, they've gotten past that, you know, so, but, you know, I'll say this. Big school to big school, it's parity. I think any big school in Alabama can play with any big school in Georgia. The problem is this. It's not really a level playing field because, like, Asheville in Georgia would be a very small 1A, okay? So, I mean, we're less than 400 kids.
Right.
I mean, you're bottom of the road. There's no small, like, really small schools in Georgia like you have in Alabama where there might be 100 kids in the school. Those schools don't exist. And you have rural areas in Georgia that are one county schools. So it's almost like having a city school, but it's just it's a county school, but it's the only school in the county. So, you know, your places like Oxford in Georgia would be a really big 2A or a 3A.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, but I mean, you get in the metro. It's, I mean,
yeah.
But no, I mean, Alabama's definitely a lot more passionate about their football.
Cool. Well, you spent the last couple of years here at Asheville as the offensive coordinator. Do you plan on keeping a lot of the schemes that you ran on offense and defense, or are you going to kind of tweak some things?
You know, we're gonna do some different things. You know, defensively, you know, if you want me to get specific, defensively, we're going to be an attacking 8-man front. You know, that's just what I believe in. I feel like that's what, you know, the biggest thing I want to say this about scheme. I'm always going to adjust to what our kids can do, okay? Because ultimately, it doesn't matter what you know, it matters what your kids know.
Yeah.
So my thing is, and that's called good coaching. You know, if you'll adapt your things to what your kids do well. Now, I'm sitting here telling you we're going to be an 8-man front, and then we might not be an 8-man front, but that's what I would like to do. Offensively, you know, philosophy-wise, we're going to run the football. You know, we're going to be efficient in the passing game, and we're going to kind of try and control the tempo of the game.
Okay, good deal. Going forward, what are some of your short-term and long-term goals for the football program and Asheville athletics as a whole?
Yeah, so short-term, you know, I want to see improvement. You know, whether it be, you know, in the classroom, out on the field. You know, you want to see our teams compete, okay? You know, I think there were some times the last 2 years that we competed, but it's like when we wanted to compete. You know, my whole goal is this, okay, in the short term. I want the other team to know that when they wake up Saturday, they know they just played a football game, okay? Win, lose, or draw. Guys, I'm not worried about wins and losses. I'm worried about building a program. I'm worried about getting involved with our youth program, you know, getting it right down there. I think we got some really good people down there who are going to help us, but getting them to buy in, and then that bleeds over to the middle school. Then the middle school brings up to the high school. You know, the biggest thing I want everybody to understand is, yes, I am the head football coach, but I'm an athletics guy. I'm also the athletic director, which means this. If we got a need in another sport, and I got 6 coaches, why would I take precedent over that sport that needs a coach. You know, so, and we're going to put somebody in that spot that wants Asheville High School to be successful. So, you know, long term, I want Asheville to be like they were in the, you know, the 90s and the early 2000s, where they're a consistent playoff team. You know, they're a team that's, you know, compete for region championships. You know, then, you know, hopefully, God willing, competing at the state level.
All right. Seems like you've got the support of the administration here at Asheville. How important is that for you going forward as far as building a program the way you want to do it?
It's everything. I mean, because you know, you got to have patience, and there's less and less patience today in especially in athletics in general. You know, because like, well, if you don't win, you're gone. Well, you know, you can't develop a program when you're constantly changing coaches every 2 years, and that's the truth.
Yeah.
Okay, so good, bad, or indifferent, you know, the support from your administration is key. You know, you got to have community support, you got to have administrative support, you got to have buy-in from your coaches, then you got to have buy-in from the players. You know, that's to me the keys to being successful.
All right, being athletic director, you know, you're responsible again for all aspects of the athletic program. Are you going to be involved as far as coaching or helping coach some of the other sports here?
Yeah, I'm going to keep coaching softball
Okay.
with Coach Steele. That's just something I've always enjoyed, is just coaching, you know, another sport. I mean, I've coached girls basketball, I've coached softball, I've coached soccer. I mean, I've coached, you know, a lot of sports. But, you know, it's very rewarding, especially coaching a girls sport, to get to work with that other side, to not just be limited to, you know, coaching a male sport.
Right. And I can understand that, because I know a lot of females, they may feel, you know, hey, all the male sports are getting all the attention and we're not getting it.
Right.
You know, so
Right.
That's a good idea. Following you on social media, Twitter, I noticed you seem to be very enthusiastic about Asheville and being here. I've noticed a couple of hashtags you use a lot: Hammer Down and the Stickies.
Yeah.
Will you explain those to us?
Yeah, so Hammer Down, you know, and I don't mean to, you know, get nostalgic, but Hammer Down is something, when I was the head coach at Westbrook, you know, I didn't use the term hammer down, but I always used to tell the kids, you know, what are you going to do one day when you wake up, your wife's sick, your baby's sick, nobody's feeling good, you don't feel good, you're tired because you didn't get any sleep, and somebody's got to get up and pay the bills. Are you going to lay back down and go back to sleep, or are you going to get up and go to work? Okay, so we'd say, you know, hammering down, it's not just some cool hashtag that I use, but it's talking about, you know, how are you going to respond when adversity hits you? You know, because it can go one of two ways. You know, it can go bad, or you can look it right in the eye and say, hey, you know what, you're not going to beat me. Right. You know, the cities is something we talk about, the communities that make up Asheville. You know, the city sounds better than the communities.
Yeah.
So, you know, like we have a lot of kids from Steele, we have a lot of kids from Gallant, we have a lot of kids from Shoal Creek. You know, we got kids in Whitney Junction, you know, Pinedale Shores. Those are all communities that make up Asheville. You know, so ultimately, you know, when you bring all of them together, they make up Asheville High School. So my thing is, you know, I tell the kids that they're putting on for the cities. You know, they're not putting on for just, you know, Asheville, but you're putting on for, you know, if you ever ride through Steele, you're putting on for those people. There's some tremendous people in Steele, some people that are very passionate about their community. And the same thing can be said about all of our communities in Asheville.
Cool. Good deal. I've always wondered that. I was like, I need to ask him when I talk to him. All right, we're going to kind of switch gears a little bit. You know, you're a husband and a father, 2 wonderful kids. Tell us some of the things you like to do in your spare time with your family.
We like to be outside. Just, you know, my kids love being outside. I love being outside. My wife loves being outside. Just whatever we can do. Right now, my daughter's 5 and my son's 3. So we like play on the swing set a lot, you know, hit ball out in the yard. Just anything we can do to keep our kids active. You know, if I'm by myself, I love playing golf. You know, just love hanging out with people, and I'm not too high maintenance, so I like just hanging out.
I'm pretty good at golf.
Not really, but I have fun.
Well, okay. If we were to get in your car right now and drive down the road, what's playing on your radio right now?
Oh, Sirius XM, the Lithium, baby. Lithium. 90s alternative and grunge. That's just how I roll. Now I do like country. I do like, Sirius XM Fly, that 90s hip hop. Yeah, that's nostalgia. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Favorite 90s grunge bands?
I really like Pearl Jam. Pearl Jam's really good.
Good taste, man. Good taste.
Your head's at, man. Knocking the sky more and more.
I know. I tried to tell you, man. We need to get to Asheville. I've noticed also on social media, you have a really good relationship with a lot of your former players. Mm-hmm. They still reach out to you and talk to you. Talk about those relationships and why having a close relationship with your current players and your former players is important.
The thing that's the most rewarding thing about coaching mm-hmm. is you never know when you're going to say something to a kid that's going to, alter the way they think. And the thing I love to see is when our kids succeed. Mm-hmm. Because just because you don't coach them anymore, just because you're not with them anymore, doesn't mean you don't think about them anymore. Mm-hmm. I probably think about kids I coached at Lincoln or Westbrook or Dublin or, here at Asheville, probably 30% of my day. I'll just see something that reminds me of somebody and, the relationships are everything. Kids aren't going to play hard for you if you don't have a good relationship with them. Sometimes they're not going to like you. Sometimes they're not going to understand why you're coming down on them. But, when they get a little bit older and they mature a little bit, mm-hmm. I was talking to a guy, well, he's not a kid anymore, a young man I coached. He's married. He's got 2 kids now. He's in the Army. And he FaceTimed me the other night, and he's in Germany right now. And, asked me how I was doing. And I said, I'm like, hey, I'm good. How are you? And we got to rapping for about 20 minutes. And he said, Coach, there's so many times I wanted to quit, and y'all told us not to quit. And he's like, I appreciate that. And that's the most rewarding thing is when they come back and they tell you you're appreciated. Because so much time it's a thankless job. Right. I don't expect to be praised for the things that, we do well. If you want to praise somebody, praise the kids because they're the ones doing it. If you want to beat somebody down for wins and losses, you can beat me down.
I got you. With the recent reclassification, by the AHSAA, Asheville's kind of moving into a different region, playing a lot of different teams. You got traditional powerhouses, Etowah, Dora, Aniana. Talk about that change and what you guys are doing to prepare for this new region and these new opponents y'all facing.
Yeah, so it's I'm pretty familiar with some of them. I'm familiar with Etowah, familiar with Aniana. Aniana's there's the one constant from our region mm-hmm. From the last couple of years. It's still a good region. It didn't get really that easy. It didn't get any easier. You think about it, you got, look, you turn on the film and you're like, okay, and I hate comparisons. I hate them. But I'm like, all right, I'm watching this film and this team reminds you of this team. And it's like kind of the same thing with our new schedule compared to the one we just got out of, and the non-region like Oak Grove, we don't really know a whole lot about Oak Grove. They got a new coach, new staff. He came from Mortimer, Jordan. Did a really good job there. Southeastern's a much improved team. Coach Bird's done an awesome job there. He's done a really, really nice job there. Good Hope. Good Hope is a very good football team. They play like. I told their coach, I saw him at the region meeting, and I actually called him last week. I said, Coach, you got it figured out. He's like, what are you talking about? I said, your kids play really, really hard. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest compliment you can give any coach is your kids play really, really hard. Aniana, really good, really well coached, really physical. Etowah, same thing. I don't expect Etowah to miss a beat. As a matter, you can make an argument that Etowah is probably the favorite in the North in 4A. Yeah. Them and Madison Academy, I'd say in the North, probably your 2 favorites. Then you got St. Clair County, which is a county game. It's a big rivalry. Coach Dan Pierce is a really good coach. He played a bunch of young kids last year, and we had the misfortune of playing Center Point, Central Clay, Sylacauga, Mortimer Jordan. So it's not like he's playing the Sisters of the Poor over there. Dora's dropping down from 5A. Coach Lockhart, man, he's an impressive dude. He's a really sharp guy, really good culture guy. They're going to be good. You turn on the film, man, they got some guys that jump out at you. Then you got Hansville. They're kind of trending upward. They had a few big wins last year. Fultondale, really good. Weaver's gonna be better. Weaver was young last year. Coach Taylor, took that program over, kind of took his lumps. Great dude, a great guy. He's gonna do a really good job there.
Yeah, we're trying to get down there and see him.
I think I got everybody. Yeah, I think I have.
Yeah, you got everybody. Yeah, he's Coach Taylor. He's been trying to get us down there. So,
yeah, he's a great guy.
He's doing a good job.
He is.
This is a question we like to ask all of our coaches. I think we've asked every coach. Do you like the wins more or hate the losses more?
The wins more.
Yeah.
I like the wins more. I hate losing, but I think people think winning's easy. There's nothing easy about winning.
No.
Because you put in so many hours, you put together a game plan, you go to practice, and then you're expected to be perfect on Friday night. Okay? Well, you're never going to be perfect. Okay? But winning's not easy. So my thing is this. If you put in the work, okay, you want to reap the rewards. Okay? All right, so I try to enjoy the wins more. And and if you'd asked me that question 3 years ago, I'd probably say I hate losing more. And the competitor in me wants to win.
Right.
But I know this, we're not going to win them all. The best coaches, Bill Belichick hadn't won them all.
No.
Nick Saban hadn't won them all. Jamie Riggs didn't win them all at T.R. Miller. So it's just part of it.
I got you. So what is your favorite sports movie of all time?
Oh man, golly.
Semi-pro?
No. All right, as far as just sports, or as far as golly, dude. Now I'm gonna tell you this one.
Okay.
Because I'm a big, like I said, I'm a big high school guy.
Okay.
I really love Varsity Blues.
Oh, yeah.
Varsity Blues is good. Varsity Blues.
Probably mine.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great movie.
Because it has the high school aspects
Yes.
from all angles.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, you look at Varsity Blues and you can see some programs.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I seen a little bit of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I went that one in the 90s and I seen a little bit of this.
We saw a little bit of it last season.
Yeah, I seen a little bit of this. Seen a lot of this.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my favorites too. Who's the coach at the next level that you kind of look up to?
Next level.
Nick Saban.
No, I'm not saying Dan Mullen. You can forget that, dude. No. I'd probably say I really like Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern. I try to look at guys who get the most out of their players.
That he does.
He gets the most. I feel like he gets the most out of his team every year. Matt Campbell's another one. He's really good. It's easy. It's easy to say, Nick Saban. It's easy to say, the guys that are Dabo Sweeney. Those guys obviously got something figured out.
Yeah.
It's easy to say those guys, but I tend to look at the guy who's maybe a little bit. Anybody that can take Northwestern to the Big Ten championship is doing pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
It's 2 and 3 star roundup versus these 5-star,
I'm telling you.
5-star,
It's
Exactly.
insane. It's impressive.
Exactly. With the current COVID-19 pandemic going on, how have you guys kind of handled that situation?
Yeah, we just kept up. I've kept up with them, Group Me, and then we have Microsoft Teams through our county, and so we have a video chat. I actually got a team meeting tonight, and you do those things and you keep up with them. You try and you email, you text, just as much as you can. The biggest thing with COVID is just waiting on all the restrictions to come out. That way you got to get with the other sports in the school and say, all right, look, this is how we're doing it. This is what we're going to do as far as sanitation goes, social distancing, and then, oh, by the way, after that, here's how we're going to do weights. Here's how we're going to do conditioning. So I think that's been the biggest headache of it all. But man, I think everybody's just ready to see the kids.
Yeah. I agree.
With a mask on, without one. So.
Yeah. This is another thing we've talked to coaches about. Distractions of social media and cell phones and everything. What are some of the things you're planning on doing to kind of keep the guys focused and on track?
Well, I think the biggest thing is you got to keep them busy. Like we're going to do some things, that I believe in as far as this. Monday's JV night. Monday's JV and junior high night. Okay. So I've already got a teacher in the school. All right. And then we're fortunate enough to have a guy on our campus named Nick Wilson, who Nick is phenomenal at what he does with promoting our program, promoting our athletes at Ashville High School. But what I'm going to do is every Monday, the guys that are not playing in a JV game, okay, are having study hall. They got a mandatory study hall from 5:30 to 7. Okay? And my whole thing is this. All right? The biggest thing I want these guys to understand is this. We're going to take you serious as people. Not as football players, but as people. Yes, football is, what you do. Okay? And we want to be serious about that. All right? But ultimately, I don't care how good you are at football. If you don't got no grades, you can't play. Because we have a policy in our county, if they have an F, they can't play that week until they bring it up. So if you find out your starting quarterback's got an F on Thursday, guess what? He can't play on Friday. So, that's the policy. And just keeping them engaged in things. I want to have a purpose to everything we do. I don't want to just say, hey, go to study hall to do study hall. No, why are you going to study hall? You're going to study hall to do your homework, to study. Oh, and if you're the valedictorian, that's great. You can help everybody else. That's what I want everything we do to have a purpose, not just to say we do it just to do it.
All right. We're about to wrap it up here in just a second, but what is one of your most memorable moments in sports as a player or a coach?
So I'm going back to that senior year at Grayson. So it's the 2006 football season. I graduated in 2007. We're playing North Cobb, and we're losing. Okay, North Cobb had a quarterback named Matt Rourke. He was 6'6", and he ended up playing wide receiver at the University of Kentucky. Well, it was kind of funny. Their running back at the time was a guy named Calvin Middleton. Okay, and Calvin ended up signing with Jacksonville State. Well, when I was an undergraduate student assistant there at Jacksonville State, Calvin was our tailback. So I used to see him all the time and just give him crap. I say, man, if they'd have gave you the ball 10 more times, y'all would have beat us. So and this is the thing I love about football. And every time I think about this, it just makes me want to cry. But we had guys on our team that they had a role. And I wish, I wish guys would buy into this more. I'll never forget it as long as I live. His name was Josh Scott. Okay? Josh was a senior, was really good on special teams. And he played a little defensive end, but when I say a little, he'd come in and spell a guy for about 4 plays, and then he'd come out. But special teams were his thing. The dude, this one, everybody ran a tight punt. They're backed up. Okay? Josh comes through A-gap, blocks the punt. We get the ball on the 4, score, go for 2, and win the game.
Nice.
Yep, win it 22-21. Beat North Cobb in the first round of the playoffs. And that was a perfect example of guys, who didn't care about their individual accolades. They cared more about what the team did. Probably mine as a player. As a coach, I'll tell you what, August 21st, when we come out to Ken Logan against Oak Grove, probably going to be the highlight of mine.
Nice.
Oh yeah,
that's
gonna be special with there.
Yeah, it is.
No doubt.
Kind of switching gears a little bit. Tell us about your most embarrassing moment.
Oh, God. All right, so when I was a junior, we're playing Central Gwinnett, and we did like a chant before we ran through the banner. Well, I didn't let the chant finish, and I was the first one. I ran through the banner by myself. It was the most embarrassing thing in the world.
Is there video of that?
No, I hope not.
Please,
I hope not.
If you are watching this, please
Get on YouTube and search.
Please get us.
Oh gosh.
All right, Coach, we're gonna close out with this. That was a good one. I gotta search for that. Oh man, that was a good one. What do you want to say to the Asheville community and the student body, and just let you have the floor and just speak to the Asheville community?
Well, I'm looking forward to serving you, okay, because the most important, and we're going to tell our, we're going to talk to our athletes about this, the most important type of leadership is servant leadership. It's, going out and serving your community, letting them know that we care about you, and we want to show you how much we care about you and not expect anything in return but your support. I think the biggest thing is, we need your support. Our young people are very impressionable. They want to see you at their games. They want to see you hammer down with them. Okay? So I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to serving the Asheville community.